Hey guys, it's TBGP, and today I want to talk about Paralives. So, they've recently released the Paralives gameplay trailer, as well as 45 more minutes of gameplay. I believe it's their community manager who made the video. I don't know any of these people's names, so I do apologize. But I watched both of them, and I want to talk about the gameplay real quickly. Even though I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a super, I guess, large opinion on the gameplay, because I'm one of those people that actually have to play the game to tell you what the gameplay actually is. And I'm also one of those people that I'm not that picky with gameplay, so yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I want to talk about the trailer first, and then I'll get on to the 45 minutes of gameplay. This is not going to be a super long video. I'm not going to pause the trailer and go step by step exactly what's going on in the game. I'm just going to explain it and put clips as I go, because I'm going to be honest, there's not much to keep pausing and talk about unless we're going to talk about all the tiny details, which I'm not going to do that. I'm sure there's many other videos that do that, though. In the gameplay trailer, they show you quite a few things. Like, I'm assuming your house can get messy. I don't know if that's a true thing of your house getting messy, or they just, you know, added decoration everywhere. I don't know. That's not really explained, in my personal opinion. I would love that to be explained. Does your house get dirty like that? Will there be socks and stuff thrown around? Because that would be kind of neat, not gonna lie. Obviously, they have fire. I don't know if they have firefighters, but they do have fire in the game, and that's also neat. I don't think it's a life simulator game without being able to set something on fire. But the neatest thing that they did show in there is that how you make your character or choose a household is through a train. You're like in a train with a bunch of people. I'll be showing it on the screen, and you get to choose between the people who are going there. It makes me a little bit sad if this means that these people aren't going to be in town, because I'm not gonna lie, that's really sad. I kind of wanted to see some of these people in town, like especially the people that they have showing off, so hopefully they are. If not, I hope I can place them in town. They didn't really explain that, so I don't know. Hopefully I'm allowed to place people in town. But anyway, they show you what you could do to make your little paras, and you know, all of the stuff that you already know from the para creator, which I think they have a whole video on as well. After that, you get to go through the train, and then you can choose a storytelling mode. I'm gonna talk about the storytelling mode from what I've learned from this trailer plus the 45 minutes. With the storyteller, if you didn't really get it from the trailer, you could choose between these three people who, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce their name, and I don't really remember their names at the moment, but there's a lady, a man, and a dog. So if you choose the dog, it's like the easiest difficulty. There's like there's barely any highs and lows or whatever. For the lady, it's like minimum, like it's just normal, right? Like normal gameplay, normal needs, all that kind of stuff is just normal. That's the, I guess, difficulty level. Then there's hard. And hard is with the dude where it's more chaos and such, which that's cool. Also, from the gameplay, 45 minutes of gameplay, they tell you that you can switch difficulties whenever you want, which that's neat, and I'm glad for that. They show you a little bit of the build mode, but I believe they have a separate video on build mode, which is pretty grand. I don't know if you always have to build your house or you can move into a different one, because if I don't know how to build, I don't really want to build a house. I'll be honest, but hopefully. They also have grass. I don't know why else. I just want to mention they have grass, and I think it's interesting. I like grass. Obviously, you get a job. That's standard, very standard. And then they show a couple more things in the trailer. Like I said, I'm not going to go through everything, because they also go through this in the game. 45 minutes of gameplay, and I would probably think you're better off just watching that instead of hearing me explain it. But like I said, I'm just gonna point out the super neat things that I've noticed, like what the emotions. I'm pretty sure they showed this off already. If you have an emotion, you can choose a want related to the emotion, and then for interactions, they have like interaction cards. I guess their version of like interactions. I'm not explaining it well because I'm not gonna explain gameplay, but I will say the one thing that is, you can also level up things. Like you can pick levels of stuff. I don't know how to explain it, okay? It's so weird, but I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. You could choose like different perks and different levels, which is neat. I do think that that's quite interesting. And you can kind of grab a bunch of paras so that you guys can like do stuff together, which is also an interesting thing. And you don't have to talk to them. You can just kind of select them like you're using a select tool. And at the end of every night, you get to choose a new card that I guess goes for your story in the morning. I don't remember how they exactly explained it, but you get to choose a new card, like, oh, a social one, or social relationships, or like work or whatever. And it gives you like a specific perk for the day. And I guess that's what you do for the day. And I believe it's every single night that this happens. There you go. That's basically what they had in the gameplay trailer. And if you want to see this explored a bit more, you can also just watch the 45 minutes of gameplay, which I'm not gonna lie is probably your better bet, because the gameplay trailer doesn't really explain anything. Alright, let's move on to the 45 minutes of gameplay, which just basically gives you a more in-depth version of the stuff that you've seen in the gameplay trailer, which I'm unsure if anyone else is talking about this. They probably are. I don't really watch many videos about Paralives because I feel like the way that they talk about this game, they act like it's the best thing since sliced bread, which I've explained in my last video why that annoys me. But let's go to the 45 minutes. The community manager goes through a majority of everything that's going on. They're playing as 3 different paras, a mom, a dad, and a child. The kids can get embarrassed of their parents, which is very interesting. I kind of want to see more about that, but they didn't really go into that at the moment, so I guess I'm gonna have to wait to play the game myself. And they have like their skills and all that kind of stuff. Also, skills are broken down like, okay, music is broken down like this. I don't know if every single skill is broken down like that, but I think it's quite interesting to have like music. It's broken down to like, okay, guitar, piano, and I forgot the last one. It was bass or something. I don't remember, but it's broken down like that. So I do find that quite a neat feature. And they can have goals. Actually, I applaud them for this because I think every life simulator needs a similar thing to this, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why they don't. And they had this in The Sims 3, where they essentially had opportunities where you have to basically do a quest. And in Paralives, they have the goals, and I actually like that a lot. It gives you something to do and have your character strive to finish at some point. I don't know if these are time sensitive, which if they're not, here's my personal opinion, make them time sensitive. Because that makes you have to actually do something and not put it off for like hours. So please go ahead and do stuff. Go ahead and do that, please. I do beg of you. But anyway, they show off some more stuff, like you can have a collection in the museum, which I have opinions on that. And of course, you could go to work, and every time you come home from work, you get like a perk that you can choose. And the same thing with kids and school. You can play with the walls up, down, and like half, which is good. Thank the good heavens. I really thought that you could only play with the walls up for a second. I was gonna be like, no, please. I don't want to play like this. They have a newspaper, which is quite interesting, that you could see like all the stuff going on. Once again, reminds me of The Sims 3. Heavily reminds me of The Sims 3. And apparently, if your para becomes focused, they'll start ignoring their needs because they're super focused on, you know, things. And besides those like kind of more specialized things, that's kind of all that they were showing. I'm sure there's more, but I want to get to my personal opinions on the gameplay and everything that I've seen so far. So gameplay wise, if you're coming from me, I think that this is very standard life simulator gameplay. And that's not a bad thing. That's a fine thing. Standard life sim gameplay is good. That's fine. This actually reminds me a lot of Inzoi when it first released. Very standard. You could do the most standard things, which is, that's fine. It gives you a good base for when you're actually adding more stuff to the game. And if anyone's like, please stop mentioning Inzoi related to Paralives, this. There are both life simulator games that are in early access and are releasing in a state that is early access. So like, I'm gonna compare. In that case, they literally look like they play the same. This looks like it plays like The Sims. That's literally it. What can I say? They're all Sims-like games, so of course they play like The Sims. I have not really seen much that makes Paralives really stand out at the moment. I have to play it myself to truly say that, but I don't think there's much to like stand out currently at the moment, because I think the only thing that's really different about this compared to other life simulator games is like the interaction card thing, which I really wish they showed more of, but I'll get to that in a second. That's kind of the real big difference. Like most of it is just like a life simulator game, which is fine. I'm fine with life simulator games. And what I said about the interactions, something that bothers me about the gameplay trailer and the 45 minutes of gameplay is the lack of interaction. Okay, I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but I feel like a lot of times when I see stuff for Paralives, they barely, if ever, talk about or show the interactions. And I find that a tad bit strange. And I don't know why they're not showing it off. One of the biggest parts of a life simulator game is to show off like the interactions and how characters interact with stuff. But there's not much going on like that. Like only in the 45 minutes, they really only talked to one person. I didn't even see the couple interacting or the parents interacting with the kid very much. Like they didn't interact at all, if I'm correct. They only, like the dad, he only interacted with a random stranger once, and I find that strange. Same thing with the gameplay trailer. One lady interacted with a dude that was in town for a little bit, but they barely showed that, and that's it. Like they didn't even have the roommates interacting. So that's what I find a little bit odd. Why don't you want to show that off? The game comes out in a couple days, so I don't really know why you wouldn't show the interactions, but that's personally me. Another issue I see, this is not really just gameplay, I'm gonna say art style wise, I do think everyone looks a little similar in the game. Look, I don't know if that's just how they make their paras, which if that's how they make their paras, that's fine, but I do find that everyone looks a little bit similar, and I don't really like that. I don't know if that's an art style problem or just, like I said, them making the characters. I just hope not everyone looks similar when I actually get to play the game, because that would be kind of annoying. There's one more thing art style wise that I should have said in my last video, but I didn't. Is the clothes. I think sometimes the clothes all look like they have, and I don't like that. because if you're trying to make a masculine man and they have like the weird shading that almost looks like boobs, I don't really like that. And it's the same thing with kids. They have kind of like shading going on and it's kind of odd. I don't really like it. So I really hope that's something that they can improve upon as they, you know, fix the graphics of the game. But that's just a personal issue. That doesn't mean much, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Overall, I think the gameplay is okay in this game so far. I don't see anything that's going to make me like, wow, or anything that's going to make you like, ew. It's just very normal, casual life simulator gameplay. Hopefully they add some more things to make it more unique, but right now it just looks like a life simulator mixed with some other cozy game aspects like the Animal Crossing donate to the museum situation. Like that's literally all I can see so far, which, hey, that means that they have the chance to make this like a really good game, but that's just me. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's the greatest gameplay I've ever seen in my entire life, or it's the worst gameplay I've ever seen in my entire life. No, it's standard life sim gameplay. So hopefully it's just something that can be super improved upon and make it even more unique than it already is. So yeah, that's my personal opinions on the gameplay and how I feel about it. So yeah, with that much said, thank you guys so much for watching. This was TBGP. I will see you lot next time, and bye.